It's really good to be here today at the Copthorne Hotel. We've had Annabelle White and Mark Gregory come to show how to cook using basic ingredients.
I think the really important thing about a class like today is to make sure that people realise that food can be fun and affordable. So it's demystifying the process, it's yummy eating, and it's a way of making sure that everybody has a happy time and an affordable time in the kitchen.
Do you want to hear the really good news? You've got 3 courses today.
No matter what your budget, you can get leftovers from the fridge and convert them into an impossible fowl quiche.
I'm serious, if you only had 1 piece of luncheon and you only had 1 mushroom and you only had 1 tomato and you only had a few bits and bobs, you know what I mean? It's like really the end of the day in the fridge. You can make it delicious with that, so it's fantastic. It is just literally eggs and flour, a bit of grated cheese and oil and the Meadow Fresh milk and onion, and you throw it all into a container like this and you shake it up, or you beat it up in a wee bowl. The eggs make a kind of a custard, and the flour, the lovely, we've got Edmund's flour in there, that will actually bind it all together. Add a bit of chopped onion, and there's bacon and ham left over, we've got that from the fridge, and some fresh herbs. Throw that parcel in here, and look, let me show you. That is eggs, a little bit of oil, a little bit of flour, and all those bits and bobs from the refrigerator, okay? It is literally a no-brainer. And you're going to say, but there's no pastry to this. You don't need it. It's so yummy. That is all it is. Eggs, a little bit of flour, oil, and bits and bobs. Now, just follow the recipe, Mark. 45 minutes, 180 degrees. That's how easy. If you make food more fun, more affordable, and more achievable, people's lives are so much better. But what I want to talk to you about next, into a fry pan, I have just put a little bit of oil, yeah? If you haven't got oil, just put a little bit of butter. Now I'm lucky today, I actually had a rasher of bacon, which I put in there, and I'm now going to add, and this is where it's absolutely critical, I'm adding some chopped onion. When you chop an onion, you know the root part at the bottom? If you don't cut that off, it doesn't make you cry. But either way, chop up an onion, a little bit of oil or butter and bacon, a little bit of garlic, just a little bit of dried herbs. We've got oil, bacon, onion, herbs and mince. And mince goes in here, and you actually beat it down like so that it separates. And you know when it's cooked, when it has changed colour. You just have to kind of like imagine, because I don't want a close encounter with the fire department. Then you add a can of seasoned tomatoes, or a can of tomatoes, or if you don't have a can of tomatoes, a couple of chopped fresh tomatoes to this. And then if you've got anything like a little bit of chutney, or you could add even a little slurp of Worcestershire sauce. And when it's all cooked down and separated and looking lovely, you just add some cooked pasta to this. This is penne pasta, and I've got a really good cooking tip. If you put this into a pot, don't be mean with the water. Have a big pot of water, because you want the pasta to be going, not throw your pasta in, and then do something you will have never heard of before. And it's really bizarre, but it's going to change your life. Hold on to the table, guys. Hold on to the table. Hold on to the table, because this is big. This is big. Hold on, honey. Hold on. This is big. Basically, what I want you to do is when you throw the pasta in, I want you to put half a raw potato peeled into the pot with the pasta. As the potato cooks, it releases starch, which sticks to the pasta, which means that when you've made your sauce, which I've made, which is now out in the kitchen, you know, my lovely mincy tomatoey little number, what you do is, in actual fact, this sticks to that so much better. And pasta's great for bulking out meals. You can make something go a long way where you've got pasta, and the kids love it.
It's one thing that the kids will all eat without complaining, and be able to make it a bit more interesting for me and my husband.
You can take things that are really inexpensive, like seasonal summer vegetables, chop them up and cook them, and add them to pasta, which extends a wonderful family meal without spending a lot of money in terms of things like meat and higher end products.
In the summertime, these vegetables are really, really cheap. And I want to explain it to you. These are wonderful for your health, and it's a great way of hiding vegetables. You try to get your kids to eat vegetables, and sometimes it's a real mission.
Those basic things that we would sort of do a lot at home, obviously using the staples, but just making it a bit more interesting, you know, and sneaking in the veggies for the kids.
But in the summertime, say you can't afford the mince, say you don't want the mince, you can't afford it. What you can do is get your fry pan, put a little bit of oil or butter in, put an onion in a fry pan, and cook those vegetables, and then chop them up, throw them into the pan, and throw in some of that cooked pasta with some tomatoes, and you've got a meal. That is courgette, capsicum, eggplant, and red onion. We have cooked that. Just imagine, I'll show you how we did it. Bit of oil, and all you do, put these things down like so, and you cook them on the hot plate like that. And hey presto, you've got char-grilled vegetables. Never ever pour the oil all over the vegetables. The reason being, this one here, the eggplant, you know the sponge that you've got in the sink? This thing here is like that with oil. It goes, and it's a fat sucker. It's basically a fat sucker. So if you put the oil like this, and you put the oil like that, it's going to suck up, and it's just going to be all floppy and horrible. Here's the really curious thing. Believe it or not, this eggplant or mushroom actually tastes as good as fillet steak. And this in front of you here is called empty fridge parmesan. Well, the reason being, parmesan cheese can be expensive. So what you can do, if you get a loaf of bread from the supermarket, and in the same pan that I was talking about before, you just put some onion, you can do onion if you want to, or just some oil and some herbs, and these breadcrumbs. These taste as good as Parmesan cheese. It's better for your health, and it's a great way of using leftover bread. And it's also about taking some family favourites like your crumble and your scones and showing how you can make those even more tasty or more successful. I'm going to show you my spectacular buttermilk scones. This is a moment in history. These are the most delicious, most sensational, feather-like scones you've ever imagined. No more hard rocks, now feather-like scones. Can everyone see what I did? There is self-raising flour, a bit of salt, and a bit of baking powder in here. Imagine this is your baking powder sitting in the pantry. As it sits, all the good stuff sinks south. A bit like all our bodies really, a little bit. We all sort of sink south. So, when you are using baking powder, get a teaspoon, go in and get the good stuff from the bottom. Thanks, Paulette, working with me, baby. Get that thing, get it from the bottom and chuck it into the self-raising flour. You need to put 75 grams of butter into the freezer. Grate 75 grams of cold, ice cold butter into here. The more frozen, the colder it is, the better. And don't worry if big clumps break in there, but for goodness sake, be mindful of your fingers. You should not be doing basically what I'm doing right now, which is talking to people and being silly with a grater. Use your hands like this, and when it gets down to being difficult, just tap it in like so. That is the flour, the baking powder and the salt. That's the ice cold butter grated in, right? No hands, no hands. Knife, watch, knife. Everyone with me so far? This is so fabulous. I'm adding the Tararua buttermilk, and I add about, I think it's 1.5 cups. The secret to a feather-light scone is not too much handling and very quite wet. Look at this. Get in there, darling. Look at that. Wet. It's wet. Now watch this. This is going to freak you out, okay? This is what I do. Can I just pretend we're all at home? I just do this. Every time you're doing anything that is separate, like biscuits, muffins, scones, anything that's separate loves fan bake. It's just a way of turbocharging your oven. Just use, for this, darling, at home, 220 degrees in your oven, okay? Or if your oven runs hot, about 210, yeah? Mark, would you like to talk us through your crumble?
This is incredibly simple and quick. But the first thing is choosing the apple. This is a Braeburn. The nice thing about a Braeburn is it doesn't end up as a puree in the bottom of the bowl.
Braeburn, Granny Smith are two of the cooking apples.
Okay. Then peel it. And the nice thing, there's no exact way to do this. The nice thing when you do it like this, they're not perfect, and And that's nice because when it cooks, the littler pieces, you know, mush down, become a little bit saucy, and the bigger ones stay as lumps, so that's rather nice. So, into a bowl, we need some moisture. So if you've got any apple juice, orange juice in the fridge, anything like that. Now, that's the first part, so you put that in the oven for 20 minutes, so it's half cooked. That's all there is to it.
Do you cover it, Mark?
Nope.
Okay, so guys, if you haven't got a fancy dish like this, you don't need to. You can just use
Any pie dish. So just put in some oil, and you end up with instant crumble. Who has had some hundreds and thousands or rainbow sprinkles in their drawer for like the last 5 years? And what do you do with them? Okay, you now make fairy crumble. So, put as many in as you like. What you end up with is fairy crumble. So after 20 minutes, we pulled the fruit out. They're half cooked. Just pretend this is cooked. Sprinkle your crumble on top. Now the great thing about crumble is if you've got as many children as I have, it goes a really long way. Because only half of it is fruit, the rest is crumble. So pop that into the oven for another 20 minutes and you find it'll bubble around the edges. It'll be really, really nice. And this crumble recipe comes out really quite crisp. If you're short of time as well, buy the custard. You don't have to make everything. Right, so that went back into the oven for another 20 minutes, bring it out. And who doesn't like crumble put in the fridge overnight and it all goes nice and hard the next day, almost cut a wedge.
So it's wonderful to see how receptive everybody is and how much everyone's had such a great time. So it's made it all very worthwhile and very valuable. So thank you so very much, and thank you to Goodman Fielder.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very
for coming
much.
today.
Thank you to the hotel here at Copthorne. They've been terrific. Why don't we give them all a big round of applause? So thank you very much. And I hope you had a really happy day because we've had a
Thank you,
lovely time.
Annabelle.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. It's all good. Feel the love. Because I don't believe that you're a happy person unless you've had a really good meal at least once a day.